What do you make of the statement from PredictIt that they're pursuing a settlement with the CFTC?
I don't know anything more about it or have any inside information. It doesn't seem like would make it, to me, it doesn't seem like it would be in the CFTC's interest. What is your take?
Um, I view it as a very foreboding, ominous sign, because if you look at the totality of the history with PredictIt, they have always been very, very tight-lipped about their legal regulatory strategy, even when they don't have to, even when it's not in their interest. I mean, the only time we really got anything in the way of transparency was with the lawsuit with the CFTC. And even there, I mean, the document, the brief that really laid it all out didn't even come from PredictIt and Aristotle. It came from, it was the Victoria University legal briefing that really laid out all the meetings in detail. So this is the first time, and as you know, we've had John Phillips on our show plenty of times. I mean, John's a friend of ours and likes and knows what we're doing. And even with us, I mean, there are real limits on what he'll talk about. So this was the first time I can remember PredictIt saying anything openly about its legal regulatory strategy. And it's certainly the first time that an announcement on that magnitude has come not from John or Dave Mason, their lawyer. It came from Lindsay Singer, their spokesman. So what I interpret from that is that, number one, this is coming from a place of weakness, not strength. I think if they were really, serious about reaching a settlement and like they were negotiating over terms, I can't imagine they would have issued any public statement. I think the fact that they even are pursuing a settlement, I mean, but by the way, this is another factor. So the reason why Lindsay Singer even responded to the inquiry was because she didn't get a question about the legal thing. She got a question about why it is that PredictIt isn't offering new markets, even though they have seemingly the ability to do so from the Fifth Circuit. That's been another surprise in itself. Why, after the sweeping injunction from the Fifth Circuit, why isn't PredictIt going crazy offering markets? And what Lindsay said is the reason we're not doing that is because we're trying to reach settlement with the CFTC. So, I mean, after this massive long shot victory from the Fifth Circuit, PredictIt is not rolling out any new markets, and they're pursuing a settlement with the CFTC. And in the course of pursuing a settlement with the CFTC, bending over backwards to show that this time, unlike for the entirety of our existence, we're actually playing by the rules. The only explanation I can think of for why they would be doing that is that they are absolutely desperate to avoid a lawsuit, which would be very expensive, and which I think they know, unlike Kalshi, I think they have a sense of realism there on their legal team. I think they know that if this actually goes, if the lawsuit proceeds, they're probably going to lose on the merits.
I don't know, that just almost sounds more like a gaffe than any kind of intentional statement to the press.
So you think Lindsay Singer was just talking out of line?
That's that is my opinion. I don't know. It doesn't sound like it was any part of their strategy.
I hope you're right. I don't know Lindsay Singer well, but I mean, I've known her for, professionally for a number of years. She's pretty disciplined from what I can gather. I mean, she doesn't strike me as being one of these freewheeling spokespeople who can get out of line. I would be shocked if she misspoke or out of line, and I certainly am not accusing Steve Freese of, making up a quote. I mean, he's obviously a professional journalist, very reliable. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, that is one argument. But Richard Hanania made this point when I interviewed him. He interpreted the Fifth Circuit's ruling to be indicative of judges having sympathy for prediction markets. I don't see it that way. Even when PredictIt or Kalshi or whoever else, even when they've gotten support to varying degrees from regulators or judges, if you actually read their opinions, they never say that they endorse the value of political betting or event contracts and stuff. They always, it seems like the axe they want to grind has more to do with their criticisms of agency and regulatory overreach, right? I mean, that's been consistent from the CFTC commissioners, from the judges. It's not that they think the CFTC is out of line in terms of the substance or merits of their arguments against event contracts. It's more that they're not going about it with the right process. They need to lay out their arguments, right? I mean, that they're always that they're going too far in their authority. So if I'm correct,
yeah, I mean, I don't think the judges know how it works.
Yeah.
Or understand the concept, or have been on any of the sites.
Why would they, right? I mean, so yeah. So look, I mean, I guess so. What we're basically saying here is one. Well, let me ask you. I mean, do you think it's possible that it's just completely fake news that PredictIt is even pursuing a settlement, or you at least think that that part probably is true?
I think that part's probably true.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's any reflection on her professionalism, but just communication professionals, can occasionally say something they didn't mean to, or particularly if it's true.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I'm speculating here. My read is that they're pursuing a settlement with the CFTC, partially because it's expensive, partially because they know they'll lose. I have no insight really about what the CFTC is thinking, but well, in fact, I have some insight. I have not heard this from anyone directly at the CFTC, but I have talked to people who know the agency well. People I've talked to think that the CFTC is not going to back down on this, that they are ready to fight, rein in these markets. And so I suppose it's possible that the CFTC would settle with PredictIt. I certainly hope that they do. But I think that if they are serious about spending political capital to lay down some precedents here, which they have done now in the Kalshi case, I think they have every reason to let this issue play out in the courts on the assumption that they would probably win.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
I just don't see any reason why they would want to settle.
And so I think that the reason why I find this concerning is because I never thought PredictIt would actually win in the courts, but I did think that, to me, a best case outcome would have been that the thing drags long enough that in the meantime they would take advantage and put a bunch of markets out there and let us at least trade on a good site through 2024. And then I also thought that once they got rejected on administrative grounds on the arguments as an administrative question, that would open the door to a constitutional challenge, maybe on free speech grounds or something else. But if Lindsay's statement to the press is indicative of their strategy, that it's too long, too expensive, they don't want to deal with this, it doesn't seem like that's not the kind of thing someone says if they're bracing for a multi-year constitutional law process.
Yeah, maybe it seems, even with the Fifth Circuit victory, it seems like this is going to be a long fight and a hard road to travel. And I assume there have been other discussions that we don't know about, or other settlement discussions that we don't know about, just because it seems like it would be in PredictIt's interests to do so. But again, the CFTC would likely want to see this to the end.